Hi, welcome to AP Daily, Computer Science Principles, Topic 3.12, Calling Procedures, Video 2. My name is Bradley Bearden, and I teach at Dadeville High School in Dadeville, Alabama, and I'd like to invite you to invite a friend to take computer science. So what will we learn in this video? We will focus on writing statements that will call procedures. So today, this video is all about how to call that procedure. And remember, a procedure is a named group of programming instructions, and they serve a purpose. It helps us organize our programming language, and we'll talk more about that. But when we call a procedure, that call is going to depend on whether or not the procedure returns some data, some kind of value. If that procedure does not return data, if it just gives you a block of statements that you work through, then you call that procedure by referring to the procedure name and the arguments, and that's it. However, if the procedure that you're calling returns some kind of data like a number or a Boolean like true or false, then you will assign that value to a variable. And so that's part of the procedure call. So that will be important as we go through. And then, well, let's just take a look at an example and see it in action and see how we do. So in this problem below, there are two procedures on the right. One procedure is called apply discount and one is called apply tax. So just like we were talking about before, remember that you want your procedure to be well named so it will describe the purpose of what it does. And so if you look at procedure apply discount, you'll notice it has two arguments. It has cost and two parameters, cost and percent discounted, and so does apply tax. So when we call that procedure, we'll need to know that information. So let's start out with this. What procedure will we start out with? Does it have any parameters and does it return a value? So we're going to start with apply discount. Just as we talked about a second ago, it has two parameters. And since it uses return, remember, we have to assign that. When we call that procedure, we have to assign that to a variable. So we're going to start out with the following. We're going to say that apply discount with 60, where 60 represents the cost of the item and 20 represents the percent discounted. We're going to assign that to the price. Remember, we have to assign it to a variable because it returns a number. And then after we apply the discount, we're really going to need to apply the tax. And just like apply discount, it has two parameters and a return value. But we got a small problem. I cannot pass 60 and 20 through that procedure like I did before because the price after the discount is what needs to be taxed. So I really need to pass that price right here. This price that we calculate after the discount needs to be put in as our argument into the procedure call. In fact, it probably would have been better from the beginning if we assigned 60 to the price and each time used price as our argument to represent the cost of the item. And then, so what I'm really wanting you to focus here is when I'm making these procedure calls, especially if it has a return value, to really think about what am I going to pass through as an argument into that procedure call, and then do I need to assign it to some variable? All right. So now it's your turn. Let's practice. So we have a procedure here that will convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we're going to assume that the outside temperature is measured in Fahrenheit, and this procedure is going to help us convert. So I want you to pause the video, look at the code on the left-hand side, and I want you to think about how could I call the procedure on the right. All right, let's pause the video. Well, how did we do? So remember, before you call a procedure, you have some basic questions you need to ask about that procedure. Does it require any arguments, and does it return any kind of data? So you'll notice that convert Fahrenheit requires a parameter. Some type of temperature needs to be passed through. So that'll help us to figure out we're going to at least need one argument to match that parameter. And then you'll notice that it does have a return value. So we'll need to assign it to a variable when we call that procedure. So the most logical variable, since we're wanting to convert outside temperature to Celsius, is to assign convert Fahrenheit to outside temperature. Now, we still got to have that parameter we were talking about, but I can't just put in like 70 or 20 or some number, because this program is taking in user input about what is the temperature outside. So I need to take that user input and pass that through as the argument. So I would pass through whatever answer they have. It was assigned to outside temperature. That outside temperature is currently in Fahrenheit. And so we've passed that argument through the convert Fahrenheit procedure as the argument. All right. Let's look at another example, drawing squares. So you'll notice the procedure called draw square works by drawing a square where the bottom left corner is at the X position and the Y position on the grid, and the side length of the square is also given. So I want you to pause the video and figure out which of the code segments could be used to draw the figure on the right. All right, let's see how we did. I think you got this one. So let's focus just on the left-hand side. You'll notice that X and Y start at the order pair 2, 3, which is the bottom left, and has a side length of 4. So that square is drawn correctly. And then the second part of the code, and it changes X to 4 and Y to 2, which is the bottom left of the square again. So code 1 works. All right, you'll notice on code 2 that it starts at 6, 3, which is the bottom right corner, not the bottom left. So this procedure, this code segment will not work. And then on the right-hand side, this time it draws the bottom square first, and then the other square. So it went the opposite direction of the first, but it also works. So both segments there could be used to draw the figure on the right. And so this is one of those where you have to select 2 correct answers. So did you get both of them? All right. So what should we take away? You should be able to, in pseudocode, write a statement that would reference a procedure and know the correct way. So if it has a return value or not, or if it has parameters or not. Thank you.